Hi everyone, welcome back to Midrashic Mysteries, Parshat Vayera. Coming up, so I want to share a thought with you from a Midrash. And that Midrash is it's coming from the story of Hagar and Yishmael and their lack of water in the desert and the situation which seems bleak turns around when God provides them with a well filled with water. And this story, again, they leave Abraham's house at the request of Sarah and God's approval of this plan. And you have to imagine what a traumatic situation it must have been for Hagar. It's like an ultimate rejection. You have where are we going with our life? Where are we going to live? How are we going to get there? The future is so uncertain for her suddenly. And for her son is an uncertain future. Plus, like his father's out of his life suddenly. And what a rejection of Yishmael as the mother of this boy. Can you imagine what she's going through emotionally as she's trying to think, is something wrong with my son? Such a terrible child, and what will become of him? Is he going to turn into anything? Is he going to be trouble? And the psukim in the story, in the Torah, talk about how, Hagar separates herself from her son. He's crying over here. He's like dying of thirst, literally, and she can't bear to watch, and she's crying. And an angel of God calls out to her from the heavens and says, "What's wrong, Hagar? Don't worry. God hears the cries of Yishmael. It's going to be okay. What you need to do, Hagar, kumi si'etanar. Your job is very clearly go over there, lift up the boy, hold his hand. I will make him." God is saying, I will make him into a great nation. And God opened her eyes, Hagar's eyes, and she saw she saw a well filled with water. And she goes and she fills her flask with water, and she gives her son to drink. And there's a midrash here that sort of is bothered by what's this language of that she had her eyes opened up by God. It's a very strange phrase. Just say either he pointed out that there's a well over there, or God provided a well for her. What is that? He opened her eyes. So Chazal say that the midrash here, Breshit Rabbah, quote from Rabbi Binyamin, Amar Rabbi Binyamin, Hakol b'cheskat sumin, ad shakadosh baruch hu me'ir et einehem. Everyone is presumed, all are presumed to be blind. All people are presumed to be blind until God enlightens their eyes. What does that mean? And then they say, and that's how you can explain Vayifkach Elokim et einah. What does that help? What does that mean? This is how I can explain it? Because we're all blind. We're all presumed to be blind. Now, obviously, I don't think this means literal blindness, that all people are presumed to be literally blind, because it's just not factually true. What I think it means, I think Rabbi Binyamin is trying to teach us here, is that all of us, all human beings, we struggle to see the good that we have in our lives sometimes, the help that we have in our lives sometimes. We can be blind to that. Particularly, we can be blinded because of challenges that we have in our lives, like Hagar was going through. It's hard to see the good. Can you just the picture I painted at the beginning? Could you imagine being her right now? She's got a problem on a very practical level. Her son is dying of thirst. She's probably dying of thirst. Her son has been thrown out of his father's house. She's been thrown out of that house. The future is uncertain. And in those moments, it can be hard to see the things that are around us that can actually aid us with the troubles that we're having. Hakol b'chezkat sumin, until God helps us see it. It was there all along. she was just so caught up in all of her troubles and worries and problems, legitimately, that God had to help her see it. And this is an important message for all of us as we help other people in life who are going through challenges, through upheaval in their life, is to help them see that people are there in their corner. People care about them. They have resources at their disposal. And that there are things in their life that they might not realize are brachot. And they're right there. But sometimes when we help shift the perspective, help someone see something that they didn't see before, that's right under their nose, it can go a long way to helping them, the same way that God helped Hagar see what was there to be seen. It was easily under her nose. So I think it's just an incredibly powerful message. I think helps explain this story. She was so caught up in her problems. God had to almost point out, hey, stop. Look over there. He removed that blindness from her. Midrash continues and says, "Vatelech v'temaleh et hachemet," commenting on the phrase that then when she saw the well with water, she went and she filled her flask with water. Midrash says, "Hada amrat mechuseret amana haita." What does this tell us? This tells us that Hagar was a person who lacked faith. Mechuseret amana haita. She lacked faith in God. And that's a surprising phrase, because if we lacked water in the desert and we found a well, 100 out of 100 people would go over to the well and fill it up with water. And I don't think we would say that means we lack faith in God, that, because God couldn't provide us a miracle. It's a miracle that there was a well I didn't see before. This is a very strange phrase. Why are Chazal critiquing her, Hagar? Because she went over to fill her flask with water. I'd like to suggest the following explanation. If we think about the command from God through this angel, God's command is, go and lift up your son and hold his hand. It's never clear in the text of the story whether she did that or not. Because what happens next is God removes that blindness from her. That helps her see the be'er, the well filled with water. But it never does the text explain to us that she does this. She lifts him up, holds his hand, which is another way of saying, be there for your son emotionally in his moment of great distress. As a parent, as a mom of this boy, go do that. He's going to be okay. Trust me. And what does she do? She runs and grabs the water, which is, of course, very important. But she needs to be there not just physically for him, in the sense of giving him physical sustenance of water. As the mother, she needs to be there to give him emotional support as well. And that doesn't seem to come through, at least in the text of the story. And this shows a lack of faith, because God said, this is how you take care of him. It's not just water. You take care of him by giving him a hug, giving him a hand. Lift him up, hug him, and hold his hand. And yes, it's maybe a harsh critique. She's just trying to help her son with water. But I think it's a really powerful message to her to think about, hey, this is emotionally being there is a really important piece, but it's a really powerful lesson for us that Chazal are teaching. That often we think, what can I do for a person? What can I do? I'll get you water, I'll get you food. And that's important. Don't get me wrong. But just as important, and perhaps maybe coming first in the order of things, is being there emotionally for others. Being supportive emotionally so that you can give someone a hand, a hug. May we all be able to successfully be there for others in our lives, emotionally, to support them properly, and to make sure that the physical needs are taken care of as well. And may we also, like the first message of this teaching of Rabbi Binyamin, may we all be able to help others who are struggling, see the good that they have in their life, see the support that they have in their lives, and remove the blindness that sometimes can come with the challenges of life. Have a great day, and a Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I'll see you next week.